Hi, I'm John Balter. I'm one of the ASMs currently with Troop 901. Now, today I'm going to talk about hiking, and I'm prepping up here for a 3-day hike. So I want to kind of talk to you guys about some of the things you take on a 3-day hike. Now, this is what's going to go in my pack, and I'm going to go over some extra things because I'm a scout master, but some of those things for scouts, of course, you're not going to take. But we're going to start out with clothes, and pretty much everything I have on clothes is everything you're going to take. I personally like to have a nice watertight bag. If you don't have one of these, Ziplocs work great. I've been to a whole bunch of high adventure stuff and things like that over the years, so I've collected these, so I like to use them. So first, a pair of pants is always a good thing to put in your bag. This is good for camp wear. I actually wear the same pants hiking as I do for camp, so if one of them gets messed up, I have an extra pair. I like the zip-off ones. They work really great. The problem with them is they really don't have a whole lot of warmth, but if it's a cold one, like we're going out on a cold trip, I just take a pair of thermal underwear with me and pack that in there too. So I've got the pants, the thermals, right? 2 sets of synthetic underwear. I like the boxer briefs because they go down a little bit longer. You're gonna have less chafing, things like that. They work out really well for most people. The other thing you need is a short sleeve shirt. Now, even if it's going to be cold outside, a short sleeve shirt is great because if you get hot, you can strip down to this, and this is your best thing. Everything that I'm packing, though, you see is actually all synthetics. I don't actually take any cotton. You know, the old phrase cotton kills. That's because if it gets wet, it really is heavy and it lasts a long time being wet. So synthetics dry really fast. So I have a short sleeve shirt, and then I have a long sleeve shirt. This lets me layer, right? So I go short sleeve, long sleeve. And what I'll hike out in is a short sleeve and a long sleeve shirt. So I'll have 2 of each, right? And if I get really cold, I'll double layer them up. So I'm gonna throw that one in there too, into that bag. Other thing, hiking socks. I always take 2 pair with me. Just in case one gets wet or I have a problem. So these are 2 extra pair. Really nice hiking socks. These are REI, and I think these are Mountain Tops, but you can pick whichever ones you want. Socks are a whole different issue. Some people like liners and things like that. I personally just like a good pair of hiking socks. Synthetic is actually my choice over wool, which may be strange to some. The other thing I have is a flannel jacket, right? This is just a heavy jacket. If I get cold, I can throw this on top of any of the jackets or anything that I have. I can put this underneath, and it just gives me that one extra layer. I like one that has a hoodie so that I can cover that head, because once you cover that head, man, it makes it so much nicer. This is also not bad to sleep in. It's soft, and so it's a great camp sleeping wear. And it does get cold at night when you're not moving around. So all that stuff goes in there. The other thing I'm going to put in there is I'm going to put a bandana. Now I like these, I'm sorry, they're not bandanas, they're buffs. I take 2 of them with me. One of them I keep in my sleeping stuff, and one of them I keep in my hiking bag. These are great because you can put them on, you can wear them as a full mask, right? You can pull them down and just wear them around your neck and keep your neck warm. If it gets really hot, you can put it up top, right? And use it as a bandana, keep the sweat off of you. You can use it to keep your ears warm. These are great things. If your hands get cold, you can even wrap your hands in them. I mean, they're fantastic, kind of multi-tool thing. They weigh absolutely less than, probably less than 1/8 of an ounce. So they're super light. So I'm gonna keep one of those in my sleeping stuff so that when I sleep at night, I have that. The other thing I'm gonna keep in my clothes bag is a cap. The reason why I'm gonna keep the cap in there is because at night, I like to sleep in a cap because that warmth on my head keeps my whole body nice and warm. So a nice cap is always a good thing to have in your sleeping stuff. All right, so that takes care of the sleeping gear. So I'm gonna take and I'm gonna do the old trick of getting the air out of this thing, which is basically fold it down a little bit, smush it, fold it and roll it, and then you twist and lock. Now, if I really wanted to make it super watertight, I can take the top and go over the top, but not really necessary for the type of trip I'm going on right now. I'm not going to go into a river, so I'm not worried about it. All right, let's talk about, since we were talking about sleeping stuff, let's talk about sleeping stuff. You want a really good sleeping bag. I like the Mummy Sacks because it covers that head again. Once again, everything that covers the head is always really good for you. This is the REI Co-op one. I think it's the Flash, but it's a great bag. Inside, they always tell you the rating on these things, and so this one says, you know, the comfort limit is 28, and that's a new thing that they do now. So at 28 degrees, I'm still comfortable in this bag. And where I'm going, I'm not going to have to worry about anything below 28. But along with my sleeping bag, I also take a liner. And I'm taking a Cocoon liner this time, a Mummy liner. This one's 100% Cool Max, which is nice. It keeps you cool inside the bag, but it also helps keep the a little extra warmth. They say 15 degrees, probably giving it a little much, probably more like 5-degree difference. But they're great if you need to get a little bit warmer. And then I'm also going to take a pillow with me. Now, a pillow is a luxury item, but if you get the ultralight ones like this, they don't weigh anything at all. They are super expensive, I'm going to tell you right now. And to be honest with you, that is a pillow right there. Right there is a pillow. That bag of clothes is a pillow. I don't have to carry an extra pillow because I have a pillow. But I like to take an extra pillow. I kind of like it. It's nice to have a little Aero pillow. But sometimes I'll end up using that instead because these things deflate and they don't always last. And they don't last forever, to be honest with you. So what am I going to do with my sleeping bag? Well, once again, I want to keep my sleeping bag dry. So I've got another dry sack here. And I'm going to stuff this thing into that dry sack. The other thing about dry sacks like this is if you get them so they wrench down, you can reduce space. So that reducing of space is a big thing when you're putting stuff into backpacks. Now it doesn't reduce weight, it actually increases weight to have the extra straps and things like that. But because I'm a big guy, my sleeping bags are tall, I kind of like having the ability to smash my sleeping bag down. So I smash the sleeping bag in this bag. This is not the bag that came with the sleeping bag, by the way. It is a water resistant bag. And then I put my liner and I put my pillow inside there. I cinch it up, I close it up, and then I will even take this one and cinch this one down. And the reason for that is I like to have it really nice and tight inside my bag, and it gives me a lot of extra space to work with, which is nice because you can see that big old sleeping bag now is like super small and super compact, right? I mean, I think it's nothing. And it's light too. It's a very light bag. It's always important. The other thing you need is a thermal mattress. One that is this one is the insulated ultra or light comfort. You really want one that's insulated. Very important that it's insulated. Some of these are sold and not insulated. Once again, another very expensive thing. So sleeping bag expensive. Sleeping pad expensive. Unfortunately, no way of getting away from that if you're going to be hiking and you need light stuff. The other thing I like to take with me is I like the titanium spoons because they don't break. I've had way too many plastic spoons over my life break on me and I'm sick of them. So a titanium spoon. I like the flat plate bowl. You can do all the kinds of bowls that you like, but this one to me I really like. And then I like a cup. I really like to have a real solid cup. So it's kind of a luxury to have a little extra space in there, but I can normally fit. I'm a big guy, I got a big bag, so that's okay. But if you don't have it, you can always do a folding cup. They have cups that fold just like this. But a plate and a cup is all you need. You don't need a bowl, a plate, a cup. You just need a spoon and a bowl, if nothing else. You notice I compartmentalize everything. So all of my cook gear, all of my stuff in here is just going into a little mesh bag. I like the mesh bag because after I wash it, I'll hang it up on a tree and I'll let it dry in this, and then in the morning I don't have to worry about finding stuff. It's all together. All right, so that takes care of all my sleeping stuff, my food stuff, right? Let's talk about now daily care stuff, right? So these are just some essential items that you need to take with you. Fire starter, I've got Little fire starters here. I've got waterproof matches inside of a waterproof container. And then in addition, because I'm a Scoutmaster, I like to take a real lighter with me. This one's a butane lighter. It doesn't have to be a butane. It can just be a Bic, but I like to have both. Sunscreen, right? Bug spray and sunscreen, always two things you should always have. You may not use them, you may. Just nice to have them if you need them. And then the other thing that every scout should have is a little first aid kit. Now my first aid kit really for a hike like this, because we're gonna take a troop kit with us, is really just for things like moleskin, blisters. I've got a little thing of tape in here, and that's it. That's all I got. Nothing else. That's all I got. So I take that stuff and I throw that in another little bag, right? So bag. I think you're getting the idea of that. The other thing I like to take, and this is it's a luxury item, but it's also a very light one and it's very compact, is a little bowl. And this is a dog bowl. Yep, it's a dog bowl. But every morning I fill this thing up with water. I get my toothpaste and my toothbrush, and I sit there and I wash my face and I brush my teeth. I also take a little thing of camp soaps. You probably don't have to take this because your Scoutmaster should take this, or usually your crew will have this to clean all the stuff, so you don't have to take it, but I camp a lot, so I have my own. And then this is just a foldable towel, camp towel inside of here, right? It just folds up real nice. I've got a pretty big one. You can do smaller ones. It really only needs to be, enough to wash your face. But I stick all that stuff inside of here, and that's that. The other thing that I have in my daily stuff is Body Glide. Now Body Glide is really cool stuff. It looks just like deodorant, right? It goes on just like deodorant. You can actually wear it as deodorant if you want, but it's for chafing. And so you can put that on your inner thighs, you can put that on your toes, if you're getting blisters on your toes. This stuff is like the miracle cure of all things for chafing or blisters. Works great in any part. If you're getting a little rub on your shoulder from the backpack, you can put this on that. You can put it on your nipples, you can put it anywhere you need to put it to protect your body, right? Anywhere that's getting chafed. I keep it in a little Ziploc bag just so it doesn't mess up everything else. I have my drugs. Normally your Scoutmaster will carry that, but I'm the Scoutmaster, so I carry my own. And these are two other little things that I think every Scoutmaster should probably have in there. I have a little bottle of antibiotic hand wash, right? So that's great for washing your hands. And then I put a little bottle of like this aloe vera cream, healing cream from Gold Bond Ultra. It's great for like somebody gets a skin rash, or somebody's got a bug bite or something like that, or really sunburn. This is a great little thing. And that little bottle has saved my life more times with Scouts. The other thing that I have that are for Scoutmasters is earplugs. That's probably a key right there. I also take a couple little lens cleaners just to wipe stuff off if my glasses get dirty. I throw in a couple outdoor towelettes in case I lose my wash. And then I take this stuff. I take a few packets of BioFreeze. It's good for sore muscles and stuff like that. And not just me, but for the Scouts, sometimes they use it. So it's great. You just wipe it on. It's kind of like Ben Gay, but they come in little small packages. Once again, no real weight there. Kind of a cup, maybe an ounce in total for that little extra stuff. And then I bag and bag and bag again, right? The other thing I take with me is a hairbrush. And that completes my daily stuff. I always keep it in a pink bag. People wonder why it's a pink bag, I guess. Nobody's ever asked me, but the reason why is it's real easy to find. Green and dark gray or blacks out in the wilderness, like this stuff, sometimes it just fades in. It's hard to find. This is easy, stands out. I can find it at any given time. I can find it in the middle of the night. So it's nice if I want to wake up before the sun comes up and get cleaned up. So put that stuff in there, squeeze it down again, right? Kind of getting the idea behind that. Boom, another bag is ready to go. I'm gonna take another buff. We're going out to cold weather, so I'm gonna take gloves with me. while gloves seem like this is an optional thing, they really are a necessity. Because when your hands are cold, you can't work things like stoves and stuff like that. So keeping your hands warm is very important. I don't pack that in my bag there because I want to keep it in my backpack where I can get to it very easily, put it in or out. This shouldn't even be in there, sorry about that. Some of my other little tricks of the trade for Scoutmasters, I take some AAA batteries, extras, because there's always a dead flashlight. And I take KT tape. KT tape can be used for so many things. Sore muscles, blisters. It's great stuff for pretty much healing anything. Once again, I buy it in little strips. It doesn't weigh anything. Throw it in a bag. I can cut it up, use it any way I want to use it. And so that KT tape, and I've got a couple more pieces of KT tape over here. And I've got a little marker because usually something has to get marked at some point in time or another. So I got a little marker in there, some more KT tape that I can cut up. And then I got a little roll of duct tape, critical for Scoutmasters. Not bad for hikers and scouts to take too, is a little thing of a duct tape. This stuff is, once again, one of those things that have saved my, my time out at a trail. So I just take all that stuff and I throw it in. I've got an old like lens case here that I keep all that stuff in. Big thing is not to let the air take up a lot of space. And close that up. Sweet. The other thing I throw in here is I have a little utility tool. I actually have two of these. I take two of these with me. One I pack away and one I keep out. This is the biggest knife that I normally take with me when I hike on a real hike that's going to be out for a distance, unless I'm going to some place where I'm worried for protection or something like that. But it's got a pair of pliers, it's got everything you need. Hey Lucy, say hi to the camera. Ari, call Lucy over there.
Lucy.
All right, and I'll throw that in there. So this is kind of like my little fix-it kit. Sometimes I'll throw extra clips and stuff in there if I know what we're hiking with, but this time I don't really know, and I don't really, if somebody's clip breaks, we'll fix it later. The other thing I have is a rain jacket. Every scout should always have a good rain jacket. I like the really nice ones. Don't buy the cheap Frog Togs. Buy a really nice rain jacket. Invest in a rain jacket, because when you put these things on and they're too hot, they don't do you any good because you end up taking them off and getting wet. So there's my rain jacket. And then additional to a rain jacket, every backpacker needs one of these. This is a backpack cover. They come in all different sizes and shapes to fit your backpack. This is an Osprey one. You can buy these on Amazon. So they're real easy to do. Ari, call your dog over there.
Lucy, come.
And this one I like because it packs up real small, but most of them do pack up pretty small, and they have their containers are always directly attached to them. So I actually just bought this one just recently, so we'll see how well it works on this hike. Other things every scout should have is a headlamp. It doesn't have to be any specific type, but a good headlamp, one that throws off at least 600, well, let's say 50 lumens or more is a good headlamp. It doesn't need to be 600 lumens or 6,000 lumens and blind people, but a good headlamp. This is an optional item if you have the room or space. You can take a little lantern with you. The other thing that every scout should have is in a plastic bag, in their bag where they know how to get to it, is a map of what the trail is. Kind of critical, because if you get lost and you're out there, this will help you find your way out. So every scout should have one of these in a bag. Once again, no weight, pretty much no weight at all. Most of the stuff you see behind me is some, so we got food, I've got some crew gear, I've got a dessert for the crew, I've got stove, fuel, pots, right? That's all just crew stuff. I'm not going to go into crew stuff. This is all personal packing stuff that I want to talk about. For Scoutmasters, this is something I found out about at Summit recently and bought and I really like. It's from Benadryl. It's for skin use only, external only. But it's really good. It's cooling relief for most things. I mean, it says on here bug bites, poison ivy, mosquito bites, sunburn, small cuts and scrapes. You put the stuff on, it really cools it down, makes it numb up, and the Scouts like it. So I've been carrying it with me ever since then. Another thing for Scoutmaster is a nice piece of paracord. And my paracord is that bright orange or red color. And the reason why is because this way people don't run into it. Don't buy greens or blacks. Buy colors that stand out. You can have it as a bracelet or whatever. I've got one on here that's a bracelet. But this is the one I use for like making, I have two carabiners on each side that I can stretch out and make into all kinds of things. I mean, I've done hanging stuff and clotheslines and stuff like that. Optional thing for Scouts if they have the room is a chair. Chair is always a nice thing to have out when you're hiking. It's not a requirement though, and if you're you're worried about making the hike or you're worried about your distance, leave the chair at home. It's not required. You don't need it, but a chair is nice to sit in while you're out at camp. I also have lip balm, SPF 10 or SPF 15, moisturizing lip balm. That's because if it's cold or even if it's sunny, your lips get dry. This is a big irritant. Always nice to have one of these. I have another one of those little pocket knives that I showed you before, one of those utility tools. It's got a can opener on it, real simple one, but small, and it weighs not much. This is my trail food that I have for me. I've got a thing of Gatorade Endurance. This stuff's really great for long treks. Gatorade Endurance. They use it in the Ironman. So just a thought. I also like the G2, which are a little low calorie, but they're smaller than the G1s or the Gatorades. So you can mix that. I have a couple blocks by Cliff. These are kind of energy chews. These are great. I take these as a Scoutmaster also because if somebody's feeling low or run down, I'll give them one of these, and these things are like power pellets, like you would give to Pac-Man. I have seen Scouts bounce up because they've gotten one of these things. And if you got somebody with diabetes, these are great. They're full of sugar and they dissolve in your mouth pretty much, so they're good things. The other thing I have back here that's great as a Scoutmaster or even as a Scout are these Cliff Shots. I just started using these recently instead of Goose, and because they taste almost like a little dessert. And so if you need something sweet while you're out there, they're 100 calories each, so they're nice to have. I got a couple of them because I carry a little extra food for other Scouts. And then I have some little sausage links or beef jerky. And then I just have a refill because we're going to be out there for 3 days, so I know I'm going to use it up. And then I had a little, this is a Power Crunch that somebody gave me at a show. That's pretty much it. That's what's going to go into my bag. How it goes in my bag is just as important as what goes in my bag, right? So my lower compartment, as a Scoutmaster, I do carry one of these little emergency solar survival kits in the bottom of my pack. It's actually strapped in so I don't ever lose it, but it's got everything. If there's ever a true desperate emergency, I've never had to open it. You see how long it's been in there, but it's watertight and it's got fire starters and all kinds of other little things in there. And it weighs a couple ounces, but as a Scoutmaster, I should be able to carry it. Scout shouldn't carry that, by the way. That's not necessary in any shape or form. That's just for a crew to have an extra piece in case something does go absolutely wrong. I just like to be that little extra prepared. So the first thing I put in my bottom is I put my sleeping pad, and I put that up against my back of my bottom of my back so I know where it's at all times. And then I'm gonna put in my sleeping bag because those are pretty heavy items. And they go into my lower compartment of my pack. The other thing I might put in the lower compartment is that day stuff, or I might put my clothes if I can fit it. I'm a pretty big guy, so normally my clothes don't fit down there. I might be able to fit it this time because I actually got some stuff scrunched down a little more than normal. Oh, we're gonna find out how lucky I am. That's definitely going to fill that lower compartment for me. If I couldn't fit those clothes in there, I would have just moved them to the mid compartment, and it would have been my base of my mid compartment, so it would have sat right on top of here anyhow. Osprey make these great bags that have these big hoops. They you know, it's kind of one of the big features of them, so you see me actually using them there. And that's what they're for, is to make it easier to close stuff up. You want to make sure bow zippers touch. It's important that bow zippers touch because then they don't come apart. Once they're together, the friction between the two holds them, which is nice. So now I've got that in there. So that made my base for my backpack. And at this point, I'll put that, you know, morning stuff. I'm not going to need that very frequently, right? So that can go down there. I'm going to put my crew gear in there because I don't need that very frequently. So I got fuel, things like that. I've also put in my water bottles, but since I'm not leaving today, I'm not going to put that in there today. But if I had my water bottles already filled, they would be going in there.
Big thing to do is get rid of all the air out of these Ziplocs. You know, Ziplocs, I don't know, they like attract air.
They must have a magnet in them.
And then food.
Oh, you know what I did forget? Put in my camp chair. I like to put that kind of vertical up against my back. In my outside compartment out here, I will put at the bottom of this, I will put my eating stuff, and then on top of that, I put my rain jacket. So it's going right there, rain jacket. And then I put my backpack hub. Now, it's important I know where those two things are at. And I always put everything in the exact same spot on my backpack every time. So I know where everything is at. But those two are very important because if I need to get to them, I need to get to them fast. I can't have digging down to the bottom of my pack to get my rain jacket out. It should be super fast to get to. I'm just going to take this, clip this onto the outside. I don't have to make it real fancy or anything like that. I have some locking carabiner on the bottom here. Doesn't have to be that. It can be whatever you want. These are from Seabase, I think. And then most backpacks nowadays have pockets here. Mine is an older backpack, so it doesn't have that. So all my trail food kind of had to buy a little extra compartment pouch for it. I put my stuff in there. I'll stash my goodies, my little treat bar, that in there. All that goes in there. You can see how easy it collapses up and is out of my way, right? My spare food, I could put it in the center compartment if I wanted to. Just get that in there because I'm not going to get to that on a frequent basis. And then the stuff that I know that I might need, that goes in my top lid, right? So that's my flashlight for sure. Goes in my top lid. Like I said, I take the lantern because sometimes I need a little extra light, kind of old, hard to see. My buff, my gloves, my little emergency fix-it kit because if I need to fix something, I don't want to have to dig in my bag. And then remember all that stuff that was like bug spray and all that kind of stuff? That stuff also goes up here. And I'll put that cream in here. If I was carrying a first aid kit, that'd probably go in there, but the other people are actually carrying the first aid kit on this trip, so I'm not worried about it. So put it in there, and there it is. That's one backpack fully packed. I would normally take along with me water bottles, right? So Algenes I think they're heavier than most. You could take a liner and things like that. But if you take an Algene, one of the things I really like are these little sip lids. These are nice because instead of having to dump water on your face, these really make it nice to be able to sip the water. So that's always nice. And they fit into the side of my pouch. And then I have 2 crew waters, which I always bring in different bottles. And crew water should be in a distinctive bottle, so you know what it is. I never put my lips to this bottle in my entire life, right? This bottle stays clean at all times, and it's for crew water, which means that people in the crew will use it, so not me necessarily. Oh, you know what we didn't do was we didn't attach on my tent. So I would put my tent up here at the top, right, and strap it in. We're not going to worry about straps today, what each strap is used for. Just know that every strap on a backpack actually has a purpose. These ones that are going across, for example, these are not here for decoration. They're here so that you can cinch down your backpack. And that makes it tighter. So it was obviously cinched down here. So remember that food gear I put in there, it didn't go all the way down. So I'm gonna take this stuff out. What's causing my problem is that cup. So I'm gonna pull that cup out. And I'll probably put that down first, all by itself. So I'll take this, slide this all the way down, so I get this all the way deep, and then I can take that cup and go deep with that cup. This bag also has a lot of them have this where it allows it to breathe in here. So putting that food cup and stuff like that that might be wet still during the day in here to breathe is nice, and then your rain jacket is normally always wet. So 2 great things to use this compartment for. So now I can take those straps and I can cinch it down a little bit more. Every strap on a backpack has a purpose. You may not know what the purpose is, but they all have a purpose. So don't cut them off. Don't think that you're being smart and saving weight. Once you really know what you're doing, every clip and piece has a purpose. All right, and that's my packing for Troop 901 to go on a weekend hike. Thank you, guys.